wanted to wash my car. Look how dirty it is. um, I got part of my pay on my normal payday on Friday, and I've been busy paying bills. Um, but apparently they're going to hold that other part for the next 2 week payday, which that doesn't work out well for me. I don't dig it. It's wrong and it's illegal. So, other than that, it's kind of about it. It's been a very long day. I went on like a 2.5 hour interview, and they were they wanted to put me in another job that's different than what I applied for originally, and what I had talked to. Hello, hello. Um, talked to the manager on the phone. How are you doing? So I only got part of my pay on Friday. I did want to give an update. I didn't want it to just look like it was like dragging on. I wanted to give them credit for part of it. Yeah, that's pretty bad. I I don't know. For a company that's a $1 billion company, as per the internet, it's amazing they can't afford to pay an employee. Um, but I also talked with a lady last night that uh, did a. She actually won $300,000 from an EEOC lawsuit, and they covered the lawyer um, for the same thing what I'm going through. Interesting. So, that's probably what I'm going to end up doing. Um, so we'll see how that goes. But I was reading some EEOC stuff last night, and it's really quite interesting because this company qualifies for everything they did wrong, but under like two different descriptions for from retaliation to harassment. Um, it's even to a point of discrimination. Oddly enough, some states will make the employer double or triple the wages if they don't pay them on time. I know California will literally go and lock the doors of the business because years ago I was working at a bar, and I think the guy paid me cash every day. And all of a sudden one day it was like, okay, we don't need you anymore or something, and he didn't want to pay me. And I'm like, you know, if you're going to fire me, you need to pay me on the spot because that's the law of California. Um, and it solves problems. I mean, you don't need to drag it on, and make people mad and everything else. Just end it, you know. And so everybody can go on with their lives. You shouldn't have to, drive back there, waste the gas, play games, whatever. Um, Hell, they didn't even have direct deposit back then. And so this guy owed me, I don't know, like $200 or something. And so I called the labor board, and they took my complaint over the phone, and they said, we'll take care of that. And they contacted this guy the next day, and they said, if you don't pay, we're coming up there and lock your doors. And so next thing you know, I got a call. Hi, would you like to come by and pick up your payroll? And I was like, sounds great. Thank you. What's the best time for you? And I went up there, got my pay, and told them thank you, and I walked out. There was no more discussion. I got my money, party was over. I contacted labor board, told them I was satisfied, got all my money, and they were like, great. But they were really serious. They do not play in California. Now, if you try to, contact labor board, it's like you got to write them a letter, you got to do all this stuff. It's not as easy as you think. Even EEOC, I've seen some complaints where people have waited, 45 minutes or a couple hours to get on the phone with an operator, and they're only just kind of an operator. But if you go with a lawyer, like you pick one, they'll just do all that stuff for you. It's just boom, boom. And, there's so many things that they did wrong that I didn't even realize that were really important and illegal. When I was researching that last night through the EEOC, um, it, they could have some serious problems. Um, Much more than I even thought about. I mean, my biggest problem was just pay me. Yeah, it creates a problem because it stops your income. When somebody does stupid stuff like that, um, it's not fair. You know, Sometimes you can get compensation for that. Um, because now the world stops. You've got to go do interviews and apply for jobs and da 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 da, and it takes time to get back on. And the area that I'm in is real seasonal, so the season has not quite yet started. Some people are hiring to get ready for season to be on time because season is like 2 to 4 weeks. Um, and I mean they're just going ahead and doing it. So it's like, there's some jobs I just missed the bus. Somebody got hired that day, and it was like, oh. And there's some great managers I talked to that would love to have me working for them when season comes in. And they're like, just go ahead, get on that website right now. We really like to have you. And it's like, wow, what a compliment. You know, um, Plus, I'm versatile. I've done a lot of different jobs. I'm open to learning a new job. Um, I'm not doing any more maintenance. That last job, it was like I was a maintenance man. It was like there was no time to do the job I was hired for. And that's not fair. Especially the last day, they had all this list of to dos between me and the assistant manager. And then as soon as we got done with that, about an hour before closing, she said, "Well, I added some more things to the list." You know, And it's like I think they were just trying to piss me off or whatever. And the 2 days that he yelled at me, I think it was just to see if I would walk out and quit. Um, that's what I really think. Because no one should talk to you like that. Ever. My job description was nothing like the job I was doing. And it was just more and more maintenance. Why? Because he was paranoid. Because the store was absolutely filthy when I started there. I initiated starting to tidy up here and there and do some serious cleanings here and there, a little bit at a time every day. And then he just wants to go wild, and it's like every day I come in, it's like sweep and mop the entire store every single day. I'm like, amongst other stuff, take out all the trash, do this, do that, you know. And we've been really busy scanning everything in the store because all the prices are wrong. Every single item in the store, every single one. And that's a ton of work to go through every single thing in the store. You know, yeah, I mean, uh, when you want people to move furniture and sweep and mop and take trash out and all stuff, and constantly have to clean every day all of a sudden, you really need a maintenance group. And like HR was going, well, it's shared responsibility. So, well, then why are they always telling me, hey, hey, to do it? Red do this, red do that, you know? And there's no other workers but me, except for two in management. So that's not fair. And I don't care if you're manager or not. You want to delegate it, then you should help instead of stand there, you know, and watch me do it, you know, or bebop around, talking to neighboring stores or whatever, or taking off all the time. I mean, it's just like really. So, yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot there. So, I'm definitely open to, talking to someone in the legal system and see, where we go from here because um, my biggest thing right now is trying to get hired on so I don't lose revenue because I've got bills to pay on the first. And, I've paid out a ton of money just in the past few days. And I even paid one bill, in advance of 2 weeks on a storage unit. But I still got some big money coming up on the first. And, so trying to get a lot of stuff done. I wanted to wash the car so bad today, and it's freezing cold the last few days. if you're petty, you can report them to FTC and Attorney General. Yeah, yeah. It's sad because the guy that owns the company, there's like 30 stores, and it's based out of the Carolinas. Yeah, I mean, it's, you're right, you know. I mean, they're excessively horrible. Nowhere did we discuss on hiring. And I was up there 2 or 3 hours. He seemed like a pretty cool manager and stuff, and we talked quite a bit. Um, there was no discussion of, you're gonna have to move this, all these furniture. You're gonna have to mop. You're gonna have to, take trash out. No discussion of that. There was 3 levels of pay. Thank you. There was 3 levels of pay for 3 different types of jobs. He asked me if I was interested in those other jobs, all the way up to third key manager, and I was like, yeah, sure, yeah, sure. I'm open. Um, uh, I mean, but there was no discussion of all this extra stuff. I honestly think it was just a mode of harassment. And it got worse after I reported him. I mean, it was so bad. I can show you because I printed off the lists of cleaning, because that one day where he's going to say, well, gee, do I have to like write it down for you? Well, good thing to put it on the computer, because I printed it off those last 2 days. And, it was a lot of work. Um, and it's just, I don't think it was fair. And it definitely did not give me time to work with customers. And that's what I do, is sell, sell, sell. And, he had screamed at me one day and said, you don't have to talk to customers at all. This stuff just sells itself. Well, dude, if I owned that store, I would appreciate if people would sell my merchandise. You know, I don't want them always cleaning, scrubbing, mopping, and Cinderellaing around. I really appreciate people who push my merchandise, answer questions, suggest, things like this. I would for sure like that. Oh, isn't that so pitiful? Her ex-husband, one of her ex-husbands, was real sad about it. I think it was that guy that was in Peggy Sue movie. Um, but I mean, you knew that it, was pretty well doomed. And I mean, with her dad's history, and they had a lot of publicity on her that she was a serious drug user, and and she looked like it in some of her videos and interviews. She looked rough. Um, but she tried to be a singer and something else, like an artist or something. There's a bunch of stuff on the internet about her, and on YouTube. And I was like, man, this girl's messed up. Um, you know, uh, I mean, the guy was in show business. It's to be expected he'd be fooling around and stuff, and it's just one of those things. It's hard to get somebody that's faithful, and so his wife decided to get away from it, and so she did. But yeah, it's sad. Um, it's really sad because the inheritors, because I think her mother's still alive, but her mother's like ancient, and that there needs to be people that inherit all that stuff, because they're still running that museum, and then the gift store thing across the street and all that other stuff, and they benefit from all that. Plus, they have all the rights to all the Elvis stuff, and they get paid for that. So, um, yeah, it's a shame that she's out of the empire. And the first thing I'm thinking, that she had a heart attack, whatever it was, is it was drugs. It's the first thing I'm thinking. Now I could be wrong, but she had a really bad history before. So, um, I hope it wasn't drugs. It'd sure be so sad. But yeah, it's pretty wild. pretty shocking and pretty wild. Um, so I don't know. I got some other stuff I got to post on YouTube too. There's some interesting news also that I ran across um, that you guys will find interesting. But yeah, so in the meantime, I just got out of the shower at the gym a little bit ago. I didn't want to do it, but I had to. Um, and it's hard because it's so darn cold and my hair stays wet for hours. Like I said, the last 2 days were just horrible in the 30s, really wicked. It was pretty mild there for a minute, and in the last couple days, it just, I mean, like a freezer burned my feet. Okay, because I haven't had time to put socks on because I didn't have any clean ones. I needed to do laundry, and it was too cold to go to the washateria and fool around with that. And I turned around and bought like 3 pair of socks yesterday. Didn't have even time to put them on. Freezer burned some tops of my feet some more, and man, and I can't get to my boots. They're in the storage. I have to move a bunch of stuff around to get to them because I incorporated a couple of storages. 40 degrees where you're at. Whew. Yeah, buddy. But so if I just had my booties, would be awesome. At least 1 pair of them. And I wanted to pull out a different pair of little tennis shoes. So I'm not wearing my restaurant shoes. Yeah, it's cold. 31, 31. Oh, you get feels like 34? No, dude, it feels like 28 over here. It is freezing. It is so cold for me. But yeah, so one of my coworkers threw me 20 and bought me a dinner last week. They wanted to make sure I'd make it to payday, you know, and that was really righteous. Yeah, my second job, that I hadn't worked in a while. That was so nice. So I went by to go pay it last night. They weren't working. And I was told they were going to be working, but they weren't. So they'll probably be there tonight. And I left the dinner in the refrigerator. I don't know if they'll still want it. But I've got to go by and pay that money back. See, I'll pay them 25 because they loaned me 20. So I'll pay back 25 because I always like to pay with interest. That way you keep a good rapport with people. It's like a thank you for helping me out. A little tip, pay Nick. That's what they say in New York. Pay Nick. So, yeah, because that was a true blessing. Because, man, I needed gas so bad. I was like, how am I going to make it to the end of the week, So, yeah, so, like, right now I've got, like, about a full gas tank. Yay. That's, like, the first thing I do is, like, get fuel. And then I start paying bills. I've got to call the insurance company and see when my insurance is due again because I've just paid it off recently. And I got to see when that's due again. So, plus I had to renew my Auto Club tow truck card. And that was a big $100 bill. But it's so worth it. If you guys don't have it, you really got to get it. Do not do it on your insurance, on your car insurance. I did that with Allstate. What a mistake that was. Because they were taking any towing stuff and calling it a claim, just like you claiming you're getting a wreck. And I'm like, it's not a claim. It was like I had a flat tire. It was like I need to be jumped, so they said, oh no, it's a claim. Man, I talked to a friend of mine. They were saying, yep, that's a claim. I'm like, it is not. Well, they say it really is. So that's the battle that I got in with Allstate. Was they said, like, you have too many claims, and I'm like, no, I don't. And so anyway, make sure to have a separate towing company than your insurance company. That way you're covered. Now I still have coverage for a rental car and tow truck and all that stuff from the insurance company, but I use my Auto Club first. And that way I have both. just in case for some reason they go, we can't accept it or something, you know. I had Auto Club since I left home. No YouTuber who is having a tough time. He got in a wreck in Ohio. Yeah, make sure you have the coverage. I'm gonna tell you. I have fire theft, vandalism, zero deductible, all that cool stuff. That way I don't have to pay any money out of pocket. My car gets fixed or replaced, and I have tow truck service and rental cars, and I have maximum rental car service. So I can pick any car in the fleet. Um, but it's really, really important. Um, and it saves you a ton of money and a ton of trouble. And because usually they'll go ahead and just start up your rental car thing, and all I gotta do is try to get a ride to go down and pick that sucker up. Because I sure don't want to deliver. But you really want to, pick the car out and do the walk around for every little mark on the car and everything, and check the fuel before they give it to you because they're kind of weak. Um, but yeah, so it's definitely worth it. I used it one time from Picola all the way to Georgia to tow my van. My daughter and I were doing DoorDash down in Picola, and about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, that thing just like went crazy, like the radiator or something. Oh wow, so it had to be towed. I'm like, well, heck, and so they towed it all the way back, no extra charge, went over state lines and everything. Where Allstate was always a big argument. They refused to go over state line, like I would have to call another tow truck service or something. It was just so lame. And they ask you where you're taking it to when they take the call. The dude was trying to hit me up for an extra 200 to go 2 miles over state line. It was like, really? But yeah, I didn't have any trouble with the one with Auto Club. None. So they towed me all the way across and did not charge me extra. And so they give you like 4 or 5 calls a year. That if you get another card, you can use that card too. That's another extra calls. So I had got one for my daughter and one for me, and that way we were covered no matter what. And then when she left, I got her a card so that she would be, covered from it, and then she could also get discount on insurance. But yeah, so it's really worth it. Get the most expensive card they sell. It's totally worth it. And whether you have the card or not, you can still get the service. You just call them, and they look up your account, and it's there. So totally worth it. Do it. They'll bring you gas. They'll jump your car. They'll change your tire. They'll tell you lots of miles. It's really worth it. So, and then there's some other discount stuff like on the hotels and junk. But totally worth it. And then you don't have any record on your insurance company for any claims when you call for a tow truck. Yep, the way to fly. So, anyway, but other than that, that's kind of about it. Just been, stressing and applying for jobs every day, and talking to people, doing interviews. So I haven't heard back from that Crocs, and they sure were jumping the last time. And it was $25 an hour for a management job, and now they need 2 managers, and it's listed like at 18 now. I was like, dude. But I had a cool job today, I wanted to take till they spent 2.5 hours with me and went, well, we can only work you 2 or 3 days a week. I can't do native camp. I don't have electric. Or I could be doing that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I've got no power to run. I don't have that office anymore. Because I would be working for Regions right this minute. Because now they're sending me, for like the past 3 months, they're sending me the jobs for Regions to go remote online, and they send you all the equipment and everything. Yeah, they should be the computer, the whole deal. And I can't do it. I don't have electric. So I just have my Jackery, which I use to, power my computer and run my printer for orders. And that's what I use that for. But there's no way I can run that jackery and uh, work 8 9 hours in a day online, being on call for the bank. Because what it is, it's like you're a problem solver for the bank. You're the one, like, when you call for the bank, you want to talk to a rep. That's who you get, is somebody like that. And so you can make small adjustments, um, and answer questions that customers have. But you're not like a banker. You can look at their account, tell them what charges they've got on there, and you know, and if they want to contest one or something, but you can't do much. So yeah, I've got it. And so you have to sit there and be available with the phone and everything. And my phone, I have no way to power that up. If I power up my phone, my office phone, and my computer, and then whatever internet box they've got that you use and all that stuff, I would last a total of about 2 hours and 10 minutes on the battery I've got. And yes, I would have loved to got a better one, but I just didn't have, you know, four to $500 to buy it with. I just got a small battery that wasn't on sale at Harbor Freight, and I could just go pick it up and go. And then at least I would have, some power that was strong enough to run the computer and the printer for my orders online. And that was my biggest concern, is how am I going to print, you know, shipping labels out and stuff like that. So that solved that problem. So, I can go like 4 hours printing with my big giant commercial $500 HP printer, um, and run online like I am with that little battery. And then I also found that I can run a USB fan on that battery instead of buy $5 in batteries every day to put in my fans in the car. So I can run a USB fan all night long without draining the entire battery out, which is really wonderful. But now we're in the cold, so yeah, and there would be no way to run a little heater or anything like that. You just suck that thing dry in about 22 minutes, you know, if it would even handle it, because it doesn't even handle most hair dryers. Um, so yeah, man, I won't tell you, that's the way to fly. Now I could power up those other fans. They also will plug in, other than do batteries that I get at Walmart, and I could plug in one of those, but it's going to use a little bit more power. But that USB one, it doesn't drain hardly anything. Plus, I can charge my phone. My car will not charge a phone when it's off. So I can keep the phone live so that I have it in the event of emergency, and I always have power on that phone. So that's really a neat thing. Um, but yeah, it's really handy, and I can power an electric blanket. But I can only do it by the night. And see, with that number one job, they would let me bring my battery in on those really cold nights and charge it, at work, which took 3 or 4 hours to charge it back up and get it to 100%. But they didn't mind that at all. So that was really a nice thing, and I would just put it against the wall and cover it with clothes um, that were hanging so nobody would steal it. And it wasn't far from, the cash register. So, you know, um, but that was really a neat thing. I just hated running that thing because it run it bone dry by morning. And that kind of bothered me, because every time you run a battery bone dry, you just take the life out of it. So, but it was a blessing to be warm, because man, that 20-degree weather was vicious. It's bad enough this 30-degree junk, you know. So, and I haven't been running an electric blanket in the 30-degree stuff because I just don't have a place to plug the battery up and charge it. So I charge it by the car, but it's very slow charge to get it to that because I don't drive all of the time. I just drive to where I need to go. So yeah, so I spent a bunch of time today looking for jobs, interviewing, and then got a shower. I've got to go photograph an item listed on the internet, and yeah, ready for warm weather. I mean, it's gonna lighten up soon, you know. It's gonna be like one day a week it'll get wretched cold, and the rest of the time it'll be like 50, 60 for like the next week or so. So it's not as bad as 30. But that 30 stuff, whew, it was so cold last night. When I got up this morning, my feet were just numb. Yeah, that's a bad thing. Yeah, so but yeah, uh, other than that, it's kind of about it. So I'm happy I'm all fresh and clean because my hair's a little damp. So I hope I don't get really sick. But that's kind of about it. So I just want to touch base with you guys and let you know what's going on. And mine sometimes feels like ice picks. Oh god. But yeah, um, you know, because at least I got part of my pay from those people, but it's still not cool. They're gonna hold the other up for 2 weeks. It's just retarded. It makes 0 sense at all, especially as per Florida state law. They're supposed to pay you all your pay on the next payroll day. The next payroll day was Friday. All that should have been put in there, you know. So, yeah, I'm sure there's legality on that. So, um, but yeah, it's just a shame. I don't think the owner would wish things to be like that. I think if the owner knew, he would just go bats. Um, because when you're in business, the less legal problems you have, the better off you're going to be. You don't need a bunch of legal obstacles. It's not cool, and especially federal stuff when it's involving payroll and stuff. That's not a good thing. It was bad enough that the Spirit Halloween was such a screwball mess. So that restaurant I was working the other day, they advertised for that corporation for manager position. I almost took it. So wouldn't it be funny if I ended up back in the same restaurant and end up coming in as a manager? I would just crack up. Yeah. But I thought, no, probably better not do that. Yeah. So, but other than that, there's jobs coming up new every single day, morning and night, coming up new on Indeed. So the market is becoming live. People are getting ready for the spring break. They want to make sure they're staffed. So it's just unfortunate that when I went on today, they wanted to offer me an entirely different job than what I applied for. And only because apparently they totally filled the position, which is not what I was told. And so I had set up this interview, like days ago. But 2.5 hours of their time and my time. And she wanted me to get back to her tomorrow, let her know, for sure. And I'm like, well, just telling you, I can't accept the job unless it's full time because I've applied for other jobs that are full time. And I can't just, I don't want to work like 4 jobs. It'd be nice if I get just one good job. But I do like my stupid job, at my other work where I do stocking. That's a nice, peaceful job. But you can't get enough hours, not right now. So, but yeah, so that's what's up. We'll see what happens. I'm freezing. So anyway, I'm gonna get this car started up and run the heat, and I've got to go photograph this pocketbook and list it, and real quick, and then drop a few things off at one of the storages, and then try to go to sleep early tonight, so I can get warm and stuff, and try to get this phone charged up because it's pretty low right now. Anyway, I hope you guys have a great one. Thanks for hanging out with me, and thanks for standing behind me on this deal. If you got any ideas or any other thoughts, don't hesitate to comment below. I do see your comments, and I really appreciate them and any great advice you've got. I hope you have a really wonderful and peaceful evening. All right, I love you guys so much. Talk to you later in the next one.